important too, for sure. Duke takes over at its own 43-yard line. 5:17 to go. This could well be Duke's last possession. Snead got to the corner. Boy, how did he pick up 12 yards on that run? It looked first like he was only going to get 2, then maybe 5. He ends up getting 12.
Well, you know, when we were talking to David Cutcliffe about his team, and they were talking about the improvements they've started to make on the offensive line. They know they need to make some improvement on defense, but you could tell he's very happy with the skill players that they've been recruiting here. And you're starting to see guys like Jamison and Snead and Duncan. These are ball players.
Tunnel screen. Vernon. And he is smashed after a gain of 10. Just crushed by Drew Fry. That may have been helmet to helmet as well. 9 catches, 106 yards.
Let's watch right here at the end.
Well, there was.
You know, and that one's hard because the face mask was actually what made the first contact. So that's not targeting because the face mask hit. He didn't duck his head. He didn't leave his feet. So that's a good no call there.
Snead again. What a great cut he made right after he got the football. A very little subtle move to the left that got him past the first tackle.
You know, it's a little bit of a misdirection, and you're going to see Snead get right up behind David Reeves, and that's what he's cutting back. But it was the balance. He almost lost his feet as he ran up on the heels of his offensive line, but that was a nice job by Snead to keep his balance. He runs bigger than 170 pounds.
Yes, he does. Runs a lot of heart. You already saw him as a blocker. Snead again diving forward. It'll be about a half-yard short of a first down. Well, not many of you were probably around January 1st, 1961. That's the last time Duke won a bowl game, the Cotton Bowl. Back in the day, Duke had a big-time football program, and the Cotton Bowl was a big-time New Year's Day bowl. They beat Arkansas, another big-time program, 7-6. David Cutcliffe trying to do it for the first time since 1961. The keeper will give them a first down to the 24.
And if you notice something about this drive, how much they're running the ball. I think David Cutcliffe is saying, we got the ball back with 5:17 left, and you said this might be Duke's last possession. I think he's saying we've been able to run the ball. Why not make this the last possession of the game? Now, they're not going to be able to run out this clock and score, I don't think necessarily, but you don't expect Duke, who came in somewhere in the hundreds of rushing offense, 104 in the country of rushing offense, to be able to eat up 5:17, but they may just do it.
Well, they're not 104 tonight. Snead again.
Boy, he runs hard.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. And give Cincinnati.
Every run, this is 40 seconds of play.
I know. Yeah, and Cincinnati, I think at some point need to start thinking about timeouts, because Duke, if I'm Duke, if they're not going to call timeouts, I'm going to eat as much clock as possible.
Absolutely.
And maybe even think about, if we end up with a field goal, but we eat all the clock, why not? Yeah,
you got a field goals missed 3 times all year long, and the only one he missed in this game was by a foot from 48 yards. Play action fake. Caught for a first down by Connor Vernon. Again, that's a play where Cincinnati has got to be thinking run. You use the play action to get your best receiver open.
Watch how fast Vernon gets out of this break. Renfrey throws this right away. He's so smooth. He's so good out of his break. And Cheatham, who's one-on-one coverage, he can't let him get over the top of him, so he's got to start bailing. But that's 2 guys who have thrown they've thrown and caught a lot of balls between the 2 of them.
You wouldn't want to bet against 2 or 3 runs here, would you?
No, not at all.
First and goal with 1:49 left to go in the game. Snead is the running back. Snead gets the ball. And now if you're Cincinnati, you've got to start working on those timeouts. Otherwise, you're not going to have any time left.
And that's exactly what Stripling's going to do. I was just going to say, you know, what we've been talking, of course, there's going to be a turnover in the coaching staff. Butch Jones already gone to Tennessee as the head coach. Steve Stripling will join him, but serving as interim. But because of this small staff, I was wondering, who's their clock guy? Because every staff has a guy who knows the clock and can make suggestions strategy-wise, but this was a good timeout by Cincinnati.
They're all doing double or triple duty, and sometimes things are going to fall through the cracks, and it's not their fault.
No, but that was a good use of timeout there.
Capital One Bowl Week continues tomorrow. 3 more games at 2 o'clock. It's Ohio against Louisiana Monroe in the AdvoCare V100 Independence Bowl. Then at 5:30, Rutgers, Virginia Tech in the Russell Athletic Bowl. And at 9, Minnesota and Texas Tech square off in the Meineke Car Care Bowl of Texas. Capital One Bowl Week tomorrow on ESPN, also live on Watch ESPN. Well, if Cincinnati is going to use a timeout after second down and a timeout after third down, presuming no score, then Duke is only going to be able to work it down to around 110 and maybe kick a field goal. 110's a lot of time.
It is.
For Cincinnati.
And your goal if you're Duke is obviously you want to get 7. Now you go into the Wildcat, which they've shown they can throw, but if you could get this under a minute with a score and use the timeouts, it's a perfect scenario.
Knet gives it to Snead. The ball come out. Oh, man. I haven't seen a signal yet. Cincinnati saying they have it. No signal. And Cincinnati has the ball. Brandon Mills came in to make a hit on Snead. The ball came loose, and for the second time, Duke has turned it over inside the 10-yard line. It looked like John Williams, number 95, made the recovery.
Well, that's not much of a hit by Mills, but I will say this. That's 2 freshman running backs who have fumbled inside the 10-yard line for Duke. And I don't want to take anything away from Cincinnati. They've hung in this game early on. It looked like they might get run out of this building. Now they've got a chance. They've managed the clock well. Their quarterbacks played well. But for Duke, talk about missed opportunities. You fumble the ball twice inside the 10-yard line. That's tough to swallow.
We could be talking about 2 more touchdowns, and that would have them at 48. Now, what do you do when you're Cincinnati? Ray under pressure. Makes 2 guys miss, fighting for extra yards. Very close for a first down for Brendan Kay, excuse me.
And Kay has just been a monster running the ball tonight.
He's been great.
Yeah. And here's the other beauty for Cincinnati. And of course, Steve just needs to keep his head up. You can't get lost here. You may end up, you never know, you may end up getting the ball back, and you got to go back in. You got to stay focused.
His teammates trying to encourage him.
But for Cincinnati, what a huge break that they didn't use another timeout before that fumble. So now they have 2 timeouts. And with the clock stopping out of bounds and change moving, this is a lot of time.
Kay, a very, very dangerous pass intended for Kenbrell Tompkins. He threw that ball from near the far hash to the near side. That's a long, long way in the air.
Took a long time to get there, and the ball just floated on him. You could see the receiver, Tompkins, waiting, and have to make an adjustment.
Now you've got 3rd and a yard.
Well, I still think you throw it here because you're going to go for it in 4 downs, because I don't think, well, I just worry about you run it and how much clock you're going to run, because you're starting to run against the clock in this field position at 1 minute 6 seconds.
If they don't get it, I have to kick it out of here. Win.
Well, you'd have to go for it because Duke can run out the clock even with 2 timeouts. Excuse me. The reason I don't think you, pardon me, you kick the ball, tie ball game. But my problem there is now you're giving the ball on the 50-yard line.
Sure.
You know.
Kelsey. big tight end with the game's biggest play, 83 yards. Well, they waited long enough to use their biggest weapon, didn't they?
Now the problem is, did they score too soon?
Never scored.
Yes, that's a fair.
Kelsey, 6'6", 260. Did you see the speed on that young man?
Yeah,
he is going to be playing a long time on the next level. And Kay with a perfect pass. 41 to 34. What a turnaround. Duke goes from getting the go-ahead touchdown, fumbling at the 5, and Cincinnati makes them pay. Boy, oh boy. Longest touchdown in Belk Bowl history. Boy, if you're the quarterback, you're just thinking, I got him, I got him, I got him.
Yeah, and the safety had moved over to the middle of the field. Young Weissman, because there was a route going off to his left, he slid over just enough. Walt Canty, the safety who had walked over to cover, let the Kelsey go like you're supposed to in that coverage, and Kay made a wonderful read, and unfortunately for Duke, the fumble, the second fumble inside the 10, may be the one that cost him, but I still wonder, 44 seconds.
Yeah.
You're right, you can never score too soon.
Well, if you're a safety and you take the wrong angle, and he obviously did, it could be an 83-yard touchdown.
And you think how crazy this is. And I know I'm talking about whether Cincinnati would have gone for it on 4th and 1 inside their 15, but if you punt the ball at that point, Duke's going to have the ball at the 45, and you only need about 15 or 20 yards for a field goal. So I know it sounded crazy at the time, but I think in a bowl game you'd have to consider, we punt this away, and we probably lose the game.
Well, they probably would think of it, that's for sure. Little squib kick. And Duke will have it 1st and 10 at the 32. We check in with Reese.
Guys, we'll let you know they've started Baylor and UCLA. It's on ESPN News, and if you happen to have ESPN 3D, it is also being shown on ESPN 3D right now as Glasgow Martin IV just picked up a first down for the Bears. Scoreless, just over 6 minutes in. We'll get you to San Diego as soon as we're done in Charlotte.
Thank you, Reese. You have a 3D TV? I got to come up with some spare change somewhere and get one of those. Big task in front of Duke right now. 4-man rush. Complete pass to Crowder at the 45. It's going to be a first down. They'll stop the clock momentarily at 32 seconds.
And really smart here by David Cutcliffe. You have 3 timeouts. And because you need a touchdown, every second's going to count. Even though the clock stops, once the officials set the ball, and especially because it's not a long game, so it's not going to take long. That was a really smart timeout, because at 32 seconds with 3 timeouts, it's about extending the game as long as possible, and that would have cost them probably 7 or 8 seconds had they not used that timeout.
They did a study in the NFL quite a while back that said a pass over 20 yards downfield will take about 13 seconds for everybody to get down there and for you to clock it. So if you're going to hit it, to have those timeouts in your back pocket.
Huge.
Player of the game, our Capital One player of the game, Brendan Kay. 332 yards passing, some critical runs. Almost caught, almost intercepted. The pass was behind Scott, off of his hands, and Fry nearly had it. There's a marker down back near where the pass was thrown.
I think this is going to be a
personal foul. Roughing the passer. 99 defense, blow to the head. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Dan Giordano, a senior, with
15 yards.
Yeah, and you think about it, you know, The left hand right into the face mask. And here's the thing, that 15 yards is gained by Duke with no time off the clock. Exactly. Because the clock is melting away, that 15 yards with no time running off, not just the 15 yards, but no time run off is huge.
Duke about at the point where they can get Hail Marys out of this. Renfrey hit the ball, is intercepted. Picked off by Nick Temple. And Nick Temple is going to score for Cincinnati. Malik Bomar, who has made one big play after another tonight, got the hit on Renfrey, and he really drilled him. The ball popped loose, and it's a touchdown.
Well, and unfortunately for Duke and Renfrey, he's still down. That was a big, clean hit by Malik Bomar, who came completely unblocked. And unfortunately for Sean Renfrey, his last play for Duke may be a tough one. That's just a tough way for a young man to go out.
Yeah, he was drilled.
But give credit to Steve Stripling and this pared down defensive staff for Cincinnati. They brought a timely blitz. Bomar came on the side away from the running back. And Renfrey, unfortunately, never saw Bomar coming. You can see the back lined up to his left. And here's from the outside is Bomar's going to come. There is nobody to that side to pick him up because Bomar was lined up on a receiver. Renfrey had no clue he was coming. The ball pops up in the air, and fortunately for Cincinnati, falls into Nick Temple's arms. But that was a wonderful call by the Cincinnati defensive staff.
Yes, it was. Desperate times require desperate measures.
And give Bomar credit. Because he was lined up in the slot, he never showed that he was blitzing. Because if you see that, Renfrey could have switched the protection, put the back to the other side to pick him up, but he was able to disguise it the entire time.
Duke had given up 49.5 points a game in its last 4 games. Right now they have given up 48 to Cincinnati, but they played a lot better than that would indicate.
That was just excellent timing by Bomar. It looked like if you looked at that 100 times on film, it would look like number 4 was going to go and cover Crowder. He never moved his feet before the snap, and that's why Renfrey, a veteran quarterback, coached by one of the best quarterback coaches in the history of the game, and David Cutcliffe, Cincinnati bluffed him. And that was just wonderful call, wonderful execution by Bomar, because you've got to assume a senior quarterback being coached by a guy like David Cutcliffe would be able to see it coming, not the way that Cincinnati ran. That was just a terrific blitz.
Beautifully designed.
And executed.
Nick Temple playing that linebacker spot in place of Walter Stewart, the All-American linebacker who suffered a cervical spine injury earlier this season and was lost. He would have been a first-round draft choice had he remained healthy, but Nick Temple getting the opportunity to play, and he made the most of it there.
And for Cincinnati, unless Duke can come out, there's just nothing they can do to turn this around. So for Cincinnati, they're going to get their 10th win for the 5th time in 6 years. And you line up the schools who've done that: Alabama, Oregon, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma.
Pretty good company.
Yeah.
Squib kick again. 9 seconds to go in the game. Here's Reese.
All right, Mike, Bridgepoint Education Holiday Bowl. Baylor has struck first. Glasgow Martin the 4th, going 1 yard for every number at the end of his name. 4-yard touchdown. Baylor up on UCLA 7-0. Get you there in a few seconds.
Boy, Reese, Baylor doesn't take much time to score, do they? Give us the ball. We have had 1,090 total yards in this game. It has been an offensive explosion.
And unfortunately for Sean Renfrey, he's not going to be able to take the last snap for Duke. But here's a young man who's had a fine career and should take nothing away but pride from what he and all of his teammates and this staff and everybody at Duke has done to get this thing headed in the direction where they're going to start having some winning seasons around here in football.
That is for sure. I think there's 1 second left on the clock. And because it was a first down, they will mark the first down and then wind the clock. And this game will be over with Cincinnati. The winner here in the Belk Bowl. Once again, the final score, 48-34 Cincinnati. Now we send you to San Diego for Baylor and UCLA in the Bridgeport Education Holiday Bowl. Standing by with a call, our buddy Dave Patch. Dave?